Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Light of Energy channel. Today we will speak about the recalibration of Saturn. Saturn is in Vedic text known as the karmic master, the lord of time itself. Because everything Saturn touches, it slows it down. It brings it down to the perception of time. We all feel perception of time as only when something is slowed down to a pace that we can perceive, sense, recognize, experience. The entire concept of experience, even in Vedic texts, is portrayed as something that can be perceived in time. The time factor, what the illusion or the Maya provides us with the time of length of time in which one can experience. If creation will directly result in dissolution or Brahma will directly result in the Shiva part of it, where is the experience possible? Think of that. All experience is possible because there is a perception of time. It's a perception, doesn't exist in absolute reality according to the Vedas. But that's where it goes. So Saturn, what it provides is this experience of time. That's a big one for Saturn. Everything that Saturn sees through the seventh aspect, through the third aspect, and through the 10th aspect in the birth charts is about slowing things down with respect to those houses, taking time with things. It's not necessarily going to provide a quick lottery type results, which we all humans desire, myself included. You do something today and you want the results tomorrow. Saturn does not work like that. Saturn works in a slow, consistent manner. It's considered the worker, it's considered the bricklayer. You know, the guy who builds your apartment, you can see him working. When he's working, he's going brick by brick, one day at a time, 5 minutes at a time. That's how a structure is built. Therefore, Saturn also governs structures, laws, rules, governance, places where law is considered, places where rules of engagement are considered, procedures is considered. Saturn is a very procedural kind of guy. So you see all these energies that we spoke of about Saturn, now it is a new energy in the planet. So what does a new energy make Saturn do, or how is it going to recalibrate? Well, the new energies is about higher human consciousness. It's elevating everything on the earth. It's elevating everything in humanity. It's elevating everything in human consciousness. How does this play out with the Saturnian energies? Saturn, like we spoke of, is about laws, rules, regulations, authority. People who have strong Saturn in their planet, in their birth charts, tend to become leaders of governance, leaders in governmental authority positions, leaders in law enforcement, leaders in police, leaders in uh, organizations of every kind, managers, the leaders, the CEOs, the authority figures, basically. Saturn loves authority. And at the same time, there is another side to Saturn, which is the rebel. Saturn rebels against the authority itself. It represents the common man. It represents the community. Saturn loves to do things for others. Saturn thinks that's what is the Dharma. That is what is the path. That's what we should all be doing here. We should be doing for one another. We should be concerned less about self and more about others. That's why it's an enemy of Sun. Sun is all about self. And Saturn is all about others. What can I do for you today? How can I be of service to you today? That's the Saturn's thinking. Sun is all about how can I gain things for myself? What do I gain from this personally? You see the struggle and duality between self and others. This has nothing to do with dark and light. We'll come to that a little later. This has to do more with self and others. Saturn is about others. Saturn is not concerned about self. Why? Well, Saturn doesn't know who it is. It's a wide gaseous planet, which does not, mostly Saturn is gas. In case you didn't know, you can Google it up. So, Saturn, think of Saturn as an entity, as a person who's just composed of gas and ether. The person doesn't have any solidification inside of himself or herself to know who or he or she is. The idea of self is not known by Saturn. Saturn doesn't know who it is. So it goes out there to do things to feel itself. This is what it considers its identity. This is why Saturn works very well with the shadow aspects of the birth chart. It signifies what karma we bring in, as in the bad stuff we bring in from the past life, which we are here to work the puzzle through time. Like we spoke just now, Saturn is a lord of time. It's considered like that. So Saturn will try to, in two phases of Saturn. One phase of Saturn was Capricorn, the other was Aquarius. In Capricorn, it wants to be the authority. It wants to be the chief administrator. It's an administrator kind of energy. The guy who loves to flip burgers all day long in a McDonald's is a Saturn, who is a worker, who are the workers. At the same time, Saturn can be the one who is leading a governmental authority, institutions of government, institutions of education, institutions of law enforcement. So all these things Saturn loves. It loves law and authority. That's the one phase of Saturn, Capricorn. The other phase of Saturn is in Aquarius, which is all about others, like I said. So it's all about others, community. Why? Because it doesn't feel itself. It takes the energy of Rahu or the North Node and tries to accomplish by a feeling of obsession with going to get something done. These are all empty obsessions. These are all empty concepts. But Saturn doesn't have an understanding of that. Saturn does only want to support the creation of beauty. That's why it supports Venus. All the Venus ascendants, Taurus and Libra, are the only one where Saturn is the yoga karaka, or it makes things happen. It supports Venus. That's the only planet Saturn supports. It's enemy against everybody else. So Saturn loves to create for the sake of others. It supports Venus. In the new energies, Saturn will be in a contradiction with itself. Because on the one hand, Saturn loves to have authority. On the other hand, he loves to rebel against authority for the sake of common people. So you see how contradictory these are. On the one hand, you want to have a leadership role. On the other hand, you want to fight and rebel against the authority figures. That's how contradictory Saturn is. Saturn also rules the 8th house and the 12th house. 8th house and 12th houses are the most feared houses in Vedic astrology. They are considered to be the Dushtana houses, or the bad houses, but at the same time also the Moksha houses or the liberation houses. Why is this dichotomy of Saturn playing out? Saturn needs to be really understood, really understood. The way it is presented in Vedic texts, and it has a meaning. Just try and follow me here with the reasoning. Saturn is the classic example of one who wants things in the material world, yet wants to detach from it. That's why it is the lord of all spirituality and dharma. What is the right thing to do here in our lives? That's what Saturn governs. Doing the right thing is very big for Saturn. You do the right thing, And Saturn will play less havoc in your life. Doesn't matter where the position of Saturn is placed, mind you, or even what kind of an ascendant you are. Saturn loves or gives focus or good energies or support to the person who is doing the right thing in their lives, because it governs or takes cognizance of all your actions. Your karma is recorded in the Akashic records, in case you've heard of that. So this karma is watched and learned by Saturn. What all you're doing, what is your intent in doing something? Forget about how it's accomplished in the outer world. What is your intent behind doing something? Is it for your own selfish reasons? It is for giving to others. Which one is it? It can't be both. So Saturn governs 8th and 12th house. So what is 8th and 12th house going to recalibrate as now? Because it's the karaka of both houses. 8th house stands for sudden changes, occult mysticism, hidden things, secrets. The 12th house stands for spirituality, loss of self, gain of spirituality. Now, this is where the dichotomy comes in place. In the Vedic text, it is always portrayed as, in order to gain a sense of spirituality, you must lose things. Saturn makes you lose things. That's the way it teaches. Yesterday we spoke of Jupiter and how it teaches. Saturn has a different style. It teaches through slow time and experience in your life. Saturn makes any person really get things for good. You don't forget a Saturnian lesson. You might forget a Jupiterian abundance. This is why people, they might have good relationships, house, cars, jobs, or whatnot, but they will forget those things. It doesn't register in their soul. They are not really feeling it within themselves. They feel hollow in life. This is why you see successful people go out and trying to find themselves. They might have all the success in the external world, but they feel nothing, hollow inside. Because Saturn is that person who makes it register in the soul. It really registers as a life experience, whatever Saturn puts you through. Difficulties mainly. Difficulties as in loss of health, loss of relationship, loss of wealth, loss of position, authority, power. Saturn represents loss. But with that loss in the material world, the spirit gains experience and wisdom of what not to do. How is it I must really live my life? What is the right thing to do in this world? How should I conduct my life? How should I conduct my relationships? How should I conduct my position in the society, in my family, with respect to myself and with respect to the other? Am I giving to the society something which is of value? Is my energy, which is here from birth to death, getting spent in something useful? Not having a wild gig somewhere and getting 20,000 followers, or trying to crave a wonderful relationship and spoiling the person's life. All these things which you do for selfish reasons, Saturn abhors. It really gets pissed with all these kinds of approaches. So you might not want to piss off Saturn. It's not really a good idea. Trust me. So I have seen charts with people who are pissed off Saturn and how it's playing out in their life. It's funny how these things work. I just take things which work. That's my approach, at least. I don't want to make things into tales or stories. Just what works and what doesn't work. It's just that simple, folks. So in the new energy, Saturn will have a contradiction to resolve within itself. That is to say, individuals will start thinking in terms of, well, do I do things for authority or do I rebel against authority? Right now in planet, we are going in the phase of Capricornian recalibration. The Pluto is passing through Capricorn for till 2040 or 2039. This is the fight going on in the world. Common people versus authority. Common people versus rules, structures, and institutions. Both are Capricorn. Saturn. Both are Saturn energies. One is Capricorn and one is Aquarius. So this push and pull that is going on, both are Saturnian energies. Saturn represents in Aquarius and Saturn represents in Capricorn as ascendant. These are the two faces or contradictory faces of Saturn. How it resolves, we'll have to see in 2039. It'll be very interesting. That's why common people are rebelling and the authority figures are trying to lay more authority. You see how this is playing. Both sides are just humans. It's funny to me to observe that the humans are playing on either side of the field. So you got to understand from the soul's perspective, from the Vedic perspective, it's just all expansion, it's all experience. In this illusion called Maya, we have come here for expansion through life experience, not by studying theories and books and degrees. That's not experience, that's not soul's learning. The soul only desires to learn through life experience, and that's where Saturn comes in. It gives you life experience, it gives you lessons to learn, and it gives you wisdom to do the right thing. Saturn is all about doing the right thing. Yeah. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is my short take on the recalibration of Saturn and how it's going to play out. Keep a listen. Watch my YouTube series if you want your this entire podcast of season 7 onwards in multiple languages. I'm using the YouTube engine to give you subtitles in 15 different languages, including Hindi, German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Okay, you can take a listen there if you want subtitles. For season 7 onwards, there is a whole playlist there called podcasts. Take care meanwhile and be safe. Bye bye. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Progressive Channel. This morning, we will talk about the recalibration of Jupiter. What about recalibration of Rahu and Ketu? But it came to me that Rahu and Ketu are the obsessions and the dissolutions of the mind, have nothing to do with recalibration of in the new energy per se. The reason being, Rahu and Ketu are just empty points. It's just up to conscious evolution of every individual and their life path, where it will take them and how what they consciously want to do with them. Most people do not want to live consciously. This is where things go kind of wrong. But anyway, I digress. Jupiter. In this new energy, what will Jupiter recalibrate? As remember, this basis of this series is the new energies of Gaia itself, the new energy of the planet itself. It has changed for all the sensitives, empaths, and psychics feeling it. It's changed considerably. I can't even say in terms of degrees because it's a completely new energy. You can say it changed in terms of degrees, as in going from little to the more or more expansive. If it's a question of degrees, this is not a question of degree, folks. This is a completely new energy platform that we are all living in now as humanity. Since this way back in a couple of years ago, this is not new. But what is happening a couple of years ago is this is, I think, back in 2019 or so, even before this whole event began. So, since something has completely shifted, we have shifted timelines on this planet. Entire humanity is going in a completely different direction now. What we make of it through astrology is the take of this series. Yeah. The recalibration. So Jupiter is the teacher. The teacher, it's got a little contradictory kind of energies as told by the Vedic texts. For example, what I mean, in Jupiter on the one hand is the Karaka or the doership of the second house, the fifth house, the ninth house, and the 11th house. All these houses are of gains. Second house for wealth, fifth house for education, children, creativity, love and romance. The ninth house is for wisdom, for foreign travels, for higher education, the actual higher education, like doing a PhD or post graduation, that kind of thing. And the 11th house is house of social networks, gain, social media, money as in gains from whatever you're doing. The results of the 10th house, the career and the work, will show up in the 11th house for everyone. So, Jupiter, on the one hand, is portrayed in Vedic texts as the ones where you gain stuff from life. This is not gains as we are talking in terms of um, gain of something that you are doing per se. It's that life from the external brings to the individual all these gains. For example, you're born, the family which you have is a gift to you. You didn't invent that family, you're just born into that family. Second house we are talking about. So Jupiter decides what kind of family you're born in. Some people are born in very dysfunctional families. Some people are born in very balanced families, very spiritual families. Some people are born in between, everything between the two extremes, right? Some people are born into abject poverty. Some people are born into riches, like a silver spoon in the mouth kind of a situation. So it varies very wildly, as we know, to humanity. And Jupiter decides this factor. So this is the external feeding the person, not necessarily the internal of the person coming into it. You see what I mean? So if the Jupiter for a person in the chart is exalted in good positions, lots of combinations for that. And the fifth house is there, which is the house of children, gains, creativity, education, the basic education, the schooling, basic education, romance and love. Creative intelligence is the fifth house, right? The fifth original house is the house of the sun. The sun is the creative force, the light that shines unto itself. It's not borrowed light like you spoke about moon. Moon is blank. Moon does not have any light of its own. Sun is the self-illuminating principle of existence. This is as spoken of in the Vedas. I'm just quoting Vedic texts here, really. And when it comes to ninth house, it's also philosophy, higher learning. What is beyond my life? What is beyond me? What is beyond myself? Or what is it that I still do not know about existence or about myself? And so the quest for higher knowledge is the ninth house. People travel. That's why it's a travel house also, is to people travel abroad. People go to places of pilgrimage, places of worship, sacred places. All these kinds of things a soul is drawn towards in the ninth house. Higher learning. That's also the aspect of Jupiter. That's why Jupiter looks at the fifth and the ninth aspect, because these are powerful houses of the Jupiter, the basic education and higher education, the basic knowledge of what is an atom, what is physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, and so on. That's the basic education. Higher education becomes like the PhD level of it, the master of something, not the bachelor of something. Even in terms of wisdom. So Jupiter is a karaka of that as well. Then comes the gains of 11th house, how you interact with the community. Social media these days, in the current times, is the most relevant. So, how you interact with the social media? What is your level of participation there? What do you gain from there? And what do you gain in terms of your business, your career? The gains of the 10th house, the career, it shows up in the 11th house, right? That's the way Vedic texts interpret it. Now, Jupiter is supposed to be a teacher. It's got a teacher kind of energy. Jupiter, we spoke of earlier, wants to be like the sun. It's a gaseous planet. It wants to be like the sun. It isn't the sun. It's trying to get to the energy of the sun or the soul. So, what does the soul want to give? Soul doesn't want anything from you. It's just embodied as you. It does not need anything from you. Divinity, or God, principle of the universe, does not need anything from anyone. People wanting to please God or trying to please the creator of the universe, should have this spiritual logic in place. Why would the creator of the universe need something from you? Tiny little creature on a tiny obscure planet in the edge of the Milky Way. This is a bizarre concept, and people buy this again and again. But anyway, so soul does not require any external teaching. It does not require any external manifestation, even. That's all the individual mind. Okay, that's the moon, which wants physical things in the world. But the Jupiter, coming back to Jupiter, it wants to be like the sun. So it'll gift you all these things, the second, the fifth, the ninth, and the 11th house kind of things in our life, to teach you something. So Jupiter teaches you through gifting, through giving you stuff. There are ways that humans learn things. One is by you getting stuff, which is less actually. People don't learn by getting gifts. People learn by loss. That's where Saturn comes in. We'll speak about that tomorrow. But gifts is one of the ways Jupiter makes you aware that there are good things in life. Jupiter is a good guy, right? There's a good cop and a bad cop kind of things. So Jupiter is a good cop kind of player. He cares about you. He wants to give you stuff so that you take things and you don't think life is a bad, dry place where nothing happens. No one cares about me or my family and all these kinds of things. Jupiter wants to give you all kinds of things. It wants to give you wealth. It wants to give you children. It wants to give you education. It wants to provide you with creative endeavors, love, romance, so that you feel you are wanted by someone, you're noticed by someone. You're something to live for, kind of, in this lifetime. And then we go on to the higher knowledge. As you go through life and through age, you will begin to question all these kinds of things. Everyone does. And it provides you with that kind of wisdom. Whatever one feels ready for, it doesn't matter where one is in life or what one desires as higher knowledge. Need not be necessarily spirituality. It might be just some philosophy, not necessarily spirituality. Everyone desires something specific, which is specific to the chart. Now, when you come to the 11th house, again, Jupiter will provide all the gains. Working hard is one thing. Actually, that working hard, whether it pays off or not, in terms of money, in terms of assets, all of these things is determined by Jupiter. Now, in the new energies, Jupiter will try to become like Uranus, the higher mind. The higher mind, Uranus, the outer planet, is the planet of oversight, as in it's not. Although Uranus is also concerned about individuality, like Jupiter wants to be like the sun, but the higher mind is more about the collective humanity, not the individual you. So in the new energies, Jupiter will be working or will be drawn more towards, well, I have all this knowledge, I have all these great gifts that the good Lord has given me. Now, how do I use it for the betterment of humanity? My society, things around me, my street, my community, my people, my friends and relatives, my family, etc., all these things it will be drawn towards. It will be drawn towards more like Uranian type energy, more like Uranus. Uranus is a planet, if you remember, is a planet of individuality. It's all about individuation. Who are you in the collective? It always comes down to this, and Jupiter will be the master of this. I am there, and the rest of the world is there around me. Starting from my own parents, siblings, family, friends, the immediate circle, stretching to the outward. Uranus wants to stretch you beyond that boundary. Jupiter will be pulled into that kind of energy. People are forced into expansion beyond the narrow confines of their limited mind and limited thinking. That's where it's going in the new energies for Jupiter. So when you're looking up the charts next time around with Jupiter arrangement in any physically posited in any house or any ascendant or any nakshatra, or going forward to So Jupiterian ascendant, the strongest ones affected will be Sagittarius and Pisces. Both are ruled by Jupiter in the ascendant. So what will happen is these people will be so drawn towards knowledge, so drawn towards higher wisdom, maybe even start channeling, maybe even start some healing modality. All these new age healing modalities we have, Reiki, this and that, everything will start showing up as an innate talent, which Jupiter will provide through Uranus. You have to check the Uranus in the chart when it comes to the new energies of Jupiter. Okay. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my take on the new energies of the planet and how Jupiter will behave with them. Jupiter, they say, is a benevolent planet. It teaches, but teaches only through gifts. It wants to gift you something. Here, take this and try this on for size. That's the style of Jupiter. Try to emphasize. Let's see how it works for you. What we get from the world in our physical life is quite different from what we do with it. This is the test of Jupiter, which it brings to every individual on Earth, right? You have something and you make something out of it. Now, Jupiter will give you something and it wants to check what will you do with it. Because you can have the same hammer and you can consider everything a nail and start banging around in everything. It depends upon what tools you have and what you learn to do with it. You can have a knife, you can use it either to cut vegetables and cook, or you can go around killing people. It's the same knife. The knife does not have a property of its own. Jupiter is the guy who checks what will you do with what you have. It is watching what you do with whatever it is that you have. You have talents, you have tools, you have physical things that you need, the food and drink and shelter and clothing. Now, what will you do with all of this? Where are you going with this, as they say? That's what Jupiter checks. Okay. Okay, tomorrow we'll catch up with Saturn. Be safe wherever you are.